This morning, what I'd like to do is to start with a few spiritual principles to get us anchored in the message for today. And I'm reading from Ernest Holmes, What We Believe, and that we have created a document out of and called Spiritual Principles. There are many spiritual principles, but this morning we're working with this document and these principles that I have chosen for us to be present with today. So we are working with spiritual principle number 1, and it reads, we believe in God, the living spirit, almighty one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. We believe this one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. We believe that the manifest universe is the body of God, is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. Spiritual principle number 2, we believe in the individualization of the spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations, of the one spirit. Spiritual principle number 6, we believe in the unity of all life, that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. And finally, spiritual principle number 4, we believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. In other words, the more and more we can see ourselves as an individualized expression of spirit itself, heaven starts to become our experience. That's what we believe. And so our theme for the month, our theme for the year, a day at a time, oneness. And our theme for the month, trusting. So trusting is our call not only to act like heaven is within us, it is a call for us to live like heaven is within us. So how do we live like heaven is within us? What is the requirement that we begin to live our life like heaven is within us? It's simple. We just simply stop reacting to every little thing. Trusting then for us, those of us who are interpreting, who are moved to live our life as in a spiritual kind of way, then trusting for us is more than lip service. We can't just say that we accept something and we trust something. This is lip service. So for us, trusting is more than lip service. Trusting rids doubt. Trusting severs our ties to doubt. Trusting is, it's at the top of the echelon of the things that we are called to do if we claim that we live a spiritual life. And here is the thing about trusting is, here is where for many of us, the rubber meets the road. Here is where for many of us in our spiritual maturity that we tend to choose mostly unconsciously settling for what's easy. Here is where it happens. The moment you realize the importance of trusting, and perhaps it's where this comes from, that we find in the Bible where it says that straight is the way, narrow are the gates, and few enter in. It's around trusting. It's around trusting because trusting calls on you and I to surrender. Trusting calls on you and I to let go. It is the giving up of the lesser for the greater. It is seeing God everywhere. It is knowing God to be everywhere. It is then rising up to see this as a lived reality in our own lives. Trusting severs the ties of doubts. It requires more than lip service. In the words of Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, he might say something like this, that trusting is seeing the invisible and hearing the inaudible and doing the impossible. Trusting. What comes along then with trusting is surrendering. And surrendering, but surrendering does not lead us to a heavenly experience. It's not something that you do and then you get somewhere. Trusting is a heavenly experience. When you engage in trusting, you realize that right where you are, everything exists. There is infinite potentiality and possibility then that becomes available to you. And then we are to see it, to hear it, to sense it, to know it, to feel it, to declare it, to claim it as such. But it doesn't lead one into having a heavenly experience. Surrendering is a heavenly experience. This is so important. I don't want you to miss this point. Tell your neighbor that surrendering is a heavenly experience. Surrendering does not lead you to a heavenly experience. It is a heavenly experience. And so, last week I stated, and I'm stating again, that our call to act, our call to trust, our call to surrender is a greater call, that this call is a greater call to live like heaven is within us, that it's difficult. It's difficult to accept, and it's easy to forget. It's difficult to accept that something so simple is so powerful. And it's easy to forget that something so simple is so powerful. Because it's easy to forget, because it's easy to forget. But not only do we have to, as I said last week, as we were dealing with the I within, it's not only then that we have to contend with or to deal with our own chaos and our own confusion. It's not only that we have to deal with those parts of ourselves and our lives that pains us the most. We also have to be willing to contend with it, to see it, to contend with it, and then we have to be willing to let it go. Surrender. Surrendering. Ernest Holmes, in his book, Living the Science of Mind, he doesn't talk about surrendering as if it's something easy to do. He doesn't talk about surrendering as if that when you surrender, that things will shift a little bit. He doesn't talk about the act, being engaged of the act of surrendering, engaging in the act of letting go. He doesn't talk about it as something that's just, oh, okay, do it, maybe so, maybe. No, in his book, Living the Science of Mind, he has a chapter titled, The Great Surrender. The Great Surrender. And it is a great surrender. This surrendering is letting go of the past, it's releasing the future, and it's asking for what you desire today. And that is what makes surrendering so great, because you have to let go of the past, release the future, and you have to be willing to ask for what you desire today. So, this is something then that we must come to be willing to engage in day after day. We must choose to trust. And Iyanla reminded us that trusting is a choice. So day after day, we must choose to trust more and more and more and more and more in our divinity. We must choose to trust more and more and more and more in the heaven that is within us than in our earthly experiences. We must begin to trust more and more and more in this I in the midst of me, of the supreme power within me that governs my life, way more than we trust in our heavenly, way more than we trust in our human experiences. So, the thing is, though, is that we get caught up in our human experiences. We get caught up in our humanness. And when we get caught up in our humanness, we become unwilling to surrender. We become unwilling to let go of the past. We become unwilling to release the future. We become unwilling. When we get caught up in our human mess, we become unwilling. Tell your neighbor, don't get caught up in your human mess. Tell your other neighbor, don't get caught up in your human mess. Yes, it is our human mess that causes us to become unwilling to surrender. And it is a great surrender. So don't let your humanness get in the way of heaven. Don't let your humanness, my words aren't flowing today. Don't let your humanness get in the way of your heavenly experience. In our humanness, we find ourselves saying no to life way more than we are saying yes to life. In our humanness. But trusting and surrendering calls on us to do something. It calls on us to do something. Those of us who are serious about our spirituality, those of us who are serious about experiencing heaven on earth. Because here's the thing, soon you'll find out that if you are trusting and if you are surrendering and if you really want to have a human experience, if you're willing to stop paying lip service to life, the requirement then is that life really doesn't care about you having a fit. It really doesn't care about your whining. You understand what I'm saying? It really doesn't care about your complaining. It just doesn't care. Right? It's like life is sitting back, you say you want to be spiritual, you having a fit, and life is like, oh, okay, you done? You know what I mean? Like, you done yet? Can we get on with it? Like, it doesn't care. It doesn't care that what you walking around talking about you not gonna do. It doesn't care. Life doesn't care. Heaven doesn't care. Doesn't care about that. Go on, get it out. Whine if you need to. Have a fit about life if you want to. Just know that life doesn't care. It doesn't care. Its reply, are you done? Because surrendering is more than lip service. It requires on us to do something. Life only cares that we be open to the truth. Life only cares that we are aligning ourselves with the spiritual truth. Life only cares that we are aligning ourselves with the divine power and presence of God that is within us. Life only cares that we are affirming this I in the midst of me that is divine, that is causing me to have heavenly experiences, that is moving beyond lip service. Life only cares that we align ourselves with the infinite truth. Ernest Holmes, in his book, Living the Science of Mind, he says that we are to be humble before truth. That we are to be humble before truth. In the reading titled, The Great Surrender, on page 426, he says this. He says, to be meek is to be humble before the truth. He says that we want peace of mind and an inward sense of security, but are we willing to follow another teaching of Jesus in which he said, quote, "But I say unto you that you resist not evil." We are full of resistance and combativeness and antagonism. And the reason we are over-aggressive is because we feel insecure. We put up a great big bluff and make a big noise and throw ourselves around because of this feeling of insecurity. Resist not evil. We wonder if Jesus knew what he was talking about until we discover the secret, which is simplicity itself. When we resist, we make the thing real in our imagination, which we are sincerely trying to get rid of. We become a house divided against itself, which Jesus said cannot stand. True non-resistance is the surrender of every arrogant attitude of mind to good and good alone. Those who have made the surrender have found real peace of mind, happiness, and wholeness in the only place where it can be found, which is within themselves. Yes, life doesn't care about your whining. Surrendering does not care about us having a fit. There are some things, though, that we have got to do. If we want to experience heaven, we have to stop reacting to every little thing. We have to be willing to let go of the past and release the future and be present in the moment and be so bold to ask for the things that we are desiring. So let me give you a clue. There's some things we've got to do, right? Because I don't want y'all going Kendrick Lamar on me when I list these things that we got to do. Talking about, oh no, we really got to do it? Yep. Oh no, I really got to do it? Yep. We really got to do it. Right? So you got to be willing to let go of what you don't want to do. This is surrendering. You got to be willing to let go of what you don't want to do. And listen, there's a whole lot of things I don't want to do, but I'm willing to. You got to be way more willing to do what you don't want to do. Do we really got to do it? Yup. Number 2. Don't be making things real that ain't real. Because if it ain't real, it's made up. Oh no, we really got to do it? Yep. Don't be making, y'all know what I'm about to say, up. Don't be making ish up. Oh no, we really got to do it? Yep. Don't be making things up. Number 3. Oh, let me just say this. And several occasions in my life, I ain't talking about y'all, I'm talking about me, because I'm willing to tell the truth all the time, anytime, everywhere. There's been a lot of times that I've told myself that I can't do it. I can't do it, I can't do it, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I can't do it no more. I just don't know how. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. This sort of thing. No. It's made up. Because turns out I could do it. And I did do it. Don't make stuff up. Finally, number 3, the third thing, and there's many things that we need to do, but I'm just highlighting a couple things here that I think can really move us into having a heavenly experience. But the third thing is that we find in the Bible, or not in the Bible, but we find in the Lord's Prayer, the Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. And that's true. We lack nothing. Everything that is, everything that we're desiring, everything that we're requiring in this moment to live a heavenly experience, we already have. But what we tend to forget is that there is something else that follows the Lord's Prayer, and it is ask and it shall be given. Yes, it's true. It is all available to us. But if you're unwilling to ask for it, it remains simply available to you. Oh no, we really got to do it? Yup. You got to ask for what you want. You have to ask for what you desire. And here's a clue for you, or a hint for you, or an extra little something for you. Don't be asking people to do what they can't do. Don't do it. That don't mean you don't ask. You ask the divine power and presence of God within you to do it. But don't be asking people for what they can't do. And don't be asking for what you're not ready to receive. Because a lot of us, we ask for things that we ain't ready to receive. Because on the other side of receiving is giving. If you ain't ready to give love, don't be asking for love. If you ain't ready to give concessions, don't be asking for concessions. If you ain't ready to forgive, don't be asking people to forgive you. If you ain't ready for infinite love, infinite joy, infinite peace, if you ain't ready for the good life, don't be asking for the good life. But if you're ready for it, you've got to ask for it. Because the people don't know that you are desiring it. You think they know what you are desiring, but the people don't know what you are desiring. You've got to be willing to ask for it. Trusting and surrendering, it's more than lip service. It is a great surrender because it calls on us to surrender, to let go of the past, to release the future, and to be present in the moment, to live like we know heaven is within us, and to ask for what it is that we desire. It's time we stop acting like heaven is within, and it's time we start living like heaven is within us. Practitioners, would you join me for a moment of prayer so that we might come to have the words settle in us in such a way that we carry the words with us all through the day and all through the night, that you and I, we become so one with the word that truly it is a demonstration in our life. Now, why don't you with me take this moment to turn within, to become aware of this great I in the midst of yourself, as I become aware of the I in the midst of me, the greater, and never the lesser. This I in the midst of us, this great power and presence, this energy, this essence that is everywhere, that is no place where it is not. It resides in you and it resides in me. It is in you and it is in me. It is everywhere in all of its completeness, in all of its goodness. And so I just know for you, as I know for myself then, that it is available to me as I become more conscious and aware of it as me. This propels me into a life of heavenly experiences where good awaits my recognition, where good meets me at every turn, where good is waiting on me when I get home, where goodness is ready to bubble up in me at all times and at any time, where I become more willing to see what's infinite and possible in my life, and you become more willing to see what's infinite infinite impossible in your own life. Let us affirm and declare, decree today that nothing gets in our way of seeing with the eyes behind the eye and hearing the inaudible and beginning to sense something more about life, that goodness is desiring to express and experience itself as our very life. Let us just be willing then to do what it is that we don't want to do. Let us all be willing to allow the universe to support us in becoming more free and more bold to ask for what it is that we are desiring. Not just that we are asking for what we are desiring, not just that we become more willing to do what we don't want to do, but also let us begin to be more present and aware of life that is seeking to experience and express itself as our very lives. And watch heaven, and watch heavenly experiences show up for you in your life. The thing you didn't even know was happening, give it room enough to form and reform, to reshape itself in your life. That which you thought was made for bad, let us affirm and know that it is for good. Today, I'm grateful to be able to speak these words and to know the power in surrendering and trusting. Today, I'm so grateful for it that in the power of my word, activating it as the very action and activity in my life, where I'm so moved into just simply surrendering my word into the law of mind that I know is mighty, always responding and corresponding, never to return unto me void. It is done, and I know that it is done. Why don't you join me in accepting it being the truth of your life too by saying, and so it is. So as we journey on throughout our week, let me remind you that surrendering does not lead you to a heavenly experience. It is a heavenly experience. Let us decide today to live as though heaven is within. And that means you got to be willing to do what you don't want to do. Don't be making ish up and ask for what you want. And so it is.
Sure enough is.